Sensei,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
We are located where?
We are located in Joshua Tree, California, in a desert, high desert. It's 3,200 foot elevation here. So in the summertime it gets about 10 degrees cooler than Palm Springs area, and in the wintertime it gets cold. So you get all four elements here, you know, cold, very cold to very, very hot. And you know, I love torturing myself, but actually
So how did karate come about? Where did this concept come from in your mind? What was the early?
Well, and originally I wasn't even thinking about it. I was, at that time I was like 20, and I worked in a little store in Torrance, and one of the checkers that was there, her name was Diane Norris, and her husband was in Korea in the Air Force, and he spent a year there, and she's telling me a little bit about him over the time and what he was doing, and I didn't pay too much attention to it. And then he got out of the service, and he decided he wanted to start teaching karate. So he's going to put on a demonstration in his mother's backyard. I'm watching Chuck Norris's demo, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I like this. This is really different. I've never seen anything like this, and so it really sparked an interest in my thinking. And I'm thinking, God, Kenny, you could join this group. You could fight as much as you want. You get to train, and you don't have to go to jail. So I made black belt in '64. So by the time he opened this dojo, first little dojo, I had my black belt. So he taught there for about 4, 5, 6 months, and he was itching to open another dojo. So he asked me to take over that dojo and run it. It would still be his dojo, so I did that. And he opened another dojo in North Redondo. And then later on, we became, well, right away actually, we became best friends. We actually were innovators in a way, because he was in Korea for 1 year. And thinking back, I'm thinking, you got a black belt? They gave him a black belt in 1 year? But I guess that the Koreans did that a lot with the servicemen that were over there. But Norris was a real athlete, and he took that what he had and trained like a crazy man. But when we hooked up, it was like he saw the shortcomings of the Korean style. You know, they had great kicks, excellent kicks, but the upper body was lacking. It wasn't on par with the lower part. This was latter part of '65. Norris came to me and said, Kenny, we've been invited to go to a special training. I guess it's a pretty special training up at Lake Arrowhead. It's a summer one. It's three and a half days long, and you're practicing, and I got to stay in this nice lodge. It's got a swimming pool, and I told Norris, I said, wow, I'll jump at that. I thought, how great is that? You get to go up there and enjoy all the amenities, and we get to train with Mr. Ohshima and some students. We had no idea how terrible, crazy this special training was going to be. We had no idea. We didn't even know what a kibidachi was, let alone standing in it for an hour and a half. We didn't know we were going to be running barefoot all over the streets and through the woods, the pine cones and the needles, and so anyway, the first day was crazy. I forget what we did, but the second morning was the kibidachi, and they make circles, and it's a small gymnasium. We make circles. We get in our lowest stance, and we're supposed to stay in that stance. We didn't know it at the time. For an hour and a half. Well, it just so happens that where Norris and I are facing on the wall, there's this big clock, and I didn't know how much important part that would play in this practice. So we're in the stance for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm thinking, I'm looking around, I see a lot of people, their legs are shaking, and they're yelling at each other, get down! What's the matter with you? Get down! And I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And so I turned to Norris and I said, what do you think they're doing? And he says, well, I think they're probably practicing the stance. I said, well, how long do you think they're going to be doing it? And he said, maybe not more than half hour at the most. Okay. So I thought, well, I can survive that. So, and that's when I started watching the clock. And so, hour goes by, and the intensity just deepened. There's more screaming and yelling and, God damn you, what's the matter with you? You get out, you look like it, you know, you can do better. You know, and there's all these people that were standing there with big puddles of sweat around them. And there was one man that became quite famous, a good friend of mine. His name was Buddy Bailey. And he got the nickname Mr. Horse Stance because he was always the lowest guy, no matter what, wherever. And he was right across from me, and I was watching him, and he was having this trouble, sliding out. And then pretty soon, I heard these footsteps, you know, boom, 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 boom. And I saw Mr. Ohshima come into my view, and I thought, oh, well, is he in trouble or what? And so what he did, he went behind him, underneath his arm, picked him up, carried him into a dry spot, and slammed him back down in the stance. And I'm going, oh Jesus, you know. And so anyway, it's about an hour and 10 minutes or into this, and I'm praying to every God that ever existed, trying to help me to get through this, get me out of here. So I was almost like in a trance, and I hear this thud, and I looked around. What was that? And I looked over where Norris was, and he was gone. And what? And then I looked down, and he's laying on the floor, on his back. He's still in the horse stance. His feet are still up, and he's out. And then I hear those footsteps again.
Sensei ni, right?
My journey in the martial arts has really been a blessing. I began my study in the early 70s and been teaching at my dojo since 1990, the East Coast Black Belt Academy Budokan. I've had so many wonderful experiences and met so many wonderful people over the years. Martial arts has made my world a lot smaller. One of the greatest highlights of my career was attending the 85th birthday of the Grand Master Shorin in Okinawa. That was back in 1991. It was also the 55th anniversary of the Nagamine Dojo. Since that time, I've been able to bring like-minded people from all over the world to Okinawa to share in the karate experience and understand the culture, history, and traditions of Okinawan karate.
So again, when I'm moving in, I have a left foot entry. All right, this left hand is palm down, right hand, all right, should be facing you, fist closed. Feet are together. All right, you could step in from here. That left foot could come through. Now pivot, drop, and then from here lift. There shouldn't be any tension in the body. You should be able to have a conversation. If I come in here and I'm struggling, and I'm trying to muscle in, I'm not doing the technique.
Hi, Sensei.
All right, so it should be nice and smooth. All right? If I bring the arm this way, all right, think of extending outside the framework of the body. All right, right here, I'm extending him. If I bring it in this way, he's a lot stronger. Right? All right, he can counter me very easily. So I want to keep this out, and then from here I'll transition into the move from this position. But you need this almost parallel to the ground. Very important.